here let us discuss elasticity of demand. Before going to discuss in deep the elasticity of demand, we have to know what is demand. Demand refers to, or demand means, when price of a good falls, its quantity demanded rises, and when the price of it rises, its quantity demanded falls. This is generally known as the law of demand. The law of demand indicates only the directions of change in quantity demanded in response to change in prices. This law of demand does not tell us by how much or to what extent the quantity demanded of a good will change in response to change in its prices. So this information as how much and or to what extent the quantity demanded of a good will change as a result of a change in its prices is provided by the concept of price elasticity of demand. Demand is one of the important concepts in economics. Besides price elasticity of demand, there are various other concepts of demand elasticity. As we know, the demand for a goods is determined by its prices, incomes of the people, prices of related goods. These are the determinants which determine the demand of the commodity. The quantity demanded of a good will change as a result of change in any of these determinants of demand, that is the price, income, prices of related goods. The concept of elasticity of demand refers to the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded of a good to a change in its price, consumers' income, and prices of related goods. In another term, we can say the elasticity of demand is generally defined as the responsiveness of demand to a change in one of its determinants while other determinants remain constant. One of the determinants, price, income, price of related goods, is the determinant of demand. Elasticity of demand measures the degree of responsiveness of demand of quantity demanded of a good to a change in its price, consumers' income, and prices of related goods. Marshall introduced the concept of elasticity into economic theory. He remarks that the elasticity or responsiveness of demand in a market is great or small according as the amount demanded increases much or little for given fall in price and diminishes much or little for given rise in prices. There are three concepts of demand elasticity, that is the price elasticity of demand, income elasticity of demand, and cross elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand relates to the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded of a good to the change in its price, where income elasticity of demand refers to the sensitiveness of quantity demanded to a change in income, and cross elasticity of demand means the degree of responsiveness of demand of a good to a change in the price of related goods, which may be either a substitute for it or a complementary with it. Substitute like tea and coffee. Complementary goods means pen and ink, car and petrol, etc. The concept of elasticity of demand forms the, today we shall discuss about more the price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand. We know that demand and prices are inversely related. For some goods, the demand changes considerably even for a small change in its price. On the other hand, there are some goods for which the demand is not changed or is not affected too much by price changes. Demand for some goods is very responsive to price changes, and demand for certain others is not responsive to price changes. So price elasticity of demand refers to, or price elasticity of demand is a measure of the responsiveness of the demand for a good to change in its prices. That is, change in the quantity demanded with respect to changes in the prices. It will be calculated by the dividing the percentage change in demand by the percentage change in price, percentage change in the price of the good. Elasticity is an index of reactions. It measures the responsiveness of one variable to changes in another variable. By using a formula for calculation of price elasticity of demand to know to what extent it changes demand of the good when changes in prices, we have a formula, that is the price elasticity of demand is equal to delta Q by delta P into P by Q. Here delta P refers to change in price and delta Q refers to change in quantity demanded due to change in prices, and P refers to initial price or original price, Q refers to quantity demanded, PD refers to price elasticity of demand. Suppose the price of apple rises from rupees 10 to rupees 12 per kg and its quantity demanded decreases from 10 kg to 8 kg, then we shall calculate the price elasticity of demand using this formula. Change in price 12 minus 10 is equal to 2, change in quantity demanded 8 minus 10 is equal to minus 2. The initial prices of an apple 10 and quantity demanded at the first time original quantity demanded is 10. Here we have to use the formula price elasticity of demand, change in quantity demanded divided by change in price into price and quantity original price. Here the change in quantity demanded, that is the minus 2 by 2 change in prices into original price and original quantity demanded 10 by 10, we can get minus 1. So price elasticity of demand is 1. It is important to note that the elasticity of demand is a number which is independent of the units of measures of the price and the demand. Elasticity of demand generally is a negative number because of the inverse relationship between the price and demand. However, in the analysis of price elasticity of demand, only its absolute number is considered. It has become a universal phenomenon to compare the two elasticities with their absolute values. Therefore, we are ignoring the negative sign. Now we shall move to discuss the classification of price elasticity of demand. The degree of price elasticity of demand varies from one good to another. On the basis of this, price elasticity of demand can be classified, that is perfectly elastic, perfectly inelastic demand, relatively elastic, unitary elastic, relatively inelastic demand. First we have to know the perfectly elastic demand. If the price elasticity of demand is infinite or unlimited, then it is called the perfectly elastic demand. So symbol of the price elasticity of demand in the perfect elastic demand, that is infinity. Here in this diagram we shall draw the prices on y axis and quantity demanded on the ox axis. In this case, a very small change in price leads to an infinite change in demand. Price elasticity of demand, in which case demand curve is a horizontal straight line as we draw in this diagram. The horizontal demand curve for a product implies that a small reduction in price leads to increase the quantity demanded of buyer from 0 to all they could obtain. On the other hand, a small rise in price of the product will cause the buyers to switch completely away from product so that its quantity demanded fall to 0. Perfectly inelastic demand. If the price elasticity of demand is 0, then it is called as perfectly inelastic demand. Here, whatever may be the changes in the prices, quantity demanded remain constant or remain unchanged. For example, a 10% fall in price does not affect the change in the amount demanded. Here the demand curve of the perfectly inelastic demand is a vertical line. We can give some examples for perfectly inelastic demand, that is, the demand for salt remains practically same. It means the demand of the salt remains same, or it doesn't change for a small rise in price or decrease in price. Its demand remains same, whatever it may be the prices of the salt. So therefore demand for common salt is said to be inelastic. Another example to perfectly inelastic demand: acute diabetic patients, insulin is essential. The acute diabetic patient has to get the prescribed dose of insulin per week or per day. Whatever it may be the prices of insulin, he has to get the prescribed dose, so its demand also remains same, or its demand is inelastic. Its demand curve remains vertical. Third one is relatively elastic demand. If the price elasticity of demand is more than 1, then it is called more elastic demand. Here the percentage change in demand is greater than the percentage change in price, so the price elasticity of demand is greater than 1. The slope of the demand curve and the area shows the percentage demand. The percentage change in demand would change. Percentage change of demand is greater than the percentage change in price. We can see here the area of the quantity demanded and change in prices leads to a greater than of change in prices. For example, if the price changes by 10%, then the change in demand will 15%. Here the percentage change in demand is greater than 1. Here the demand curve is flatter. Fourth point is unitary elastic demand. If the price elasticity of demand is equal to 1, then it is called as the unitary elastic demand or equal elastic demand. In this case, the percentage change in price, percentage change in demand and percentage change in price is equal. For example, when 10% change in price causes to be a 10% change in demand. Here the demand curve of unitary elastic is a rectangle hyperbola. It is downward sloping from left to right. So DD is the demand curve which has the shape downward sloping from left to right. When price is P, quantity demanded is Q, and when price falls to P1, quantity demanded is Q1. This shows the change in quantity. It shows the percentage change in price and percentage change in its demand is equal or equal to 1. So price elasticity of demand is 1. Here the rectangular hyperbola is a curve at which rectangles formed on every point have the same area. The relatively elastic demand. If the price elasticity of demand is less than 1, then it is called the relatively inelastic demand or less elastic demand. Here we can draw a relatively inelastic demand or less elastic demand diagram. The DD curve shows in this diagram is downward sloping, which has a steep downward sloping here. The percentage change in demand is less than the percentage change in its prices. Here we can see clearly the percentage change in demand is less than the percentage change in its prices. The square shows the area of changes, shows the price elasticity of demand is relatively inelastic to the changes in its prices. Take an example. When a 10% change in price causes 5% change in demand, it means a 10% change in price will lead to the only 5% change in its quantity demanded. It means the price elasticity of demand is less than 1.